Class C, player Kim Hanbai stood still and looked at the big monster in front of her, to be exact. She was looking at the wreckage of the shattered monster. This, what the hell? No way to in Korea? No, in the whole world. She have never seen a player who can break a big monster into pieces with just a fist. If one or two of such players existed, the monster's population would be half of the current existing ones. Kim Hanbai turned her head toward the man who created this mess. The man, wearing a black plastic bag over his head, was riding on a bicycle while brushing off the blood from his suit. Oh, I am so bloody. This blood doesn't come off easily. Hey, the man on a bicycle turned his head towards the voice calling him, of course. What Kim Hanbai faced was not a face with eyes, nose, and mouth, but a black plastic bag. How did you get rid of the monsters? Did you know the monster would show up? Is the one you just used a skill? Why are you wearing a plastic bag? All kinds of questions lingered in her head, but there was only one question that came out from her mouth. Who are you? The man in the plastic bag answered Kim Hanbai's question in a very refreshing way. I'm an office worker. What? I'm just an ordinary office worker. I, Lee Sung-han, am very busy every day. I sleep as much as I want. And if I look at the clock, I woke up 11 a.m. at the earliest. I'm currently lying down to digest my breakfast that I ate less than 30 minutes ago. In a while, it will be time to eat again for lunch. After lunch, I browsed through the internet a little bit. Before I knew it, it was already time to eat dinner after munching up some snacks. There are 3 or 4 TV programs I usually watch every day after dinner time. I usually don't want to miss out any parts of my favorite programs. In order to do so, I would always do my things during the advertisement. Now that I've finished dinner today, let's start my busy schedule. I lay down on the sofa to watch TV in order to start my very busy night. Oh my God, Sung-han, you were just lying down and eating. No, I'm also going to the bathroom. Don't lie down now. Yes, Mom. After shouting bravely, I got up and started watching TV while standing. Before I knew it, I was kicked out. I was standing because Mom told me not to lie down, but I still got kicked out. This was really absurd. I walked toward the playground near my house, sat on the swing, and sighing. I'll just have to wait a little longer until Mom cooled off her head. Woof! As I was sitting on the swing blankly, a black dog approached me from afar. The dog, which was a little smaller than a big dog, has slim and long legs. He sniffed at my feet and soon fell flat in front of me. I patted his head gently as he was enjoying it. Sit down, lie down, lie down. I have been training him for about a few months now. I threw stones with excitement and asked him to catch. The stone rolled in a distance while the dog ran toward the stone, wagging its tail. What are you doing? I heard a scream that was close to a sobbing. If I was near him, I would have thought I made him cry. I turned to my side to where the loud scream came from, and a man was shouting at me that I should come to his way quickly. Oh, this dog. Is that your dog? That's absurd. That's a monster. I almost felt sorry because I thought I was training someone else's dog. Hurry up and come over here. This is very dangerous. The man kept shouting out as if it was so urgent. Isn't it more dangerous to make loud noises around monsters? I scratched my head and walked toward the man. I thought you were training your dog because it was so well-behaved, but it turned out to be a monster. I was training him well, but I was interrupted by that man, and my excitement was now ruined. I could feel the dog coming back with the stone from afar, but I ignored the dog together with the man and walked toward my house. There seemed to be a man screaming and a screeching sound coming from my back, but I just ignored it and went home while rubbing my ear with my little finger. Chapter 1. About 3 years and 6 months ago, the world changed. Monsters and dungeons, commonly found in books and games, began to appear in the whole world. The earth, I knew, became an abyss, but as if to balance the world, some people began to gain power that could go against these monsters. People called them players. Players were able to move to a different world, called La Elta, through the randomly generated portals. Everyone who has been there could talk to each other with the common language of La Elta. It was like a game world. Players said that they can level up after they receive the quest through the quest board and complete it. If they level up, they can improve their skills, and if they're lucky, they can learn skills. With that ability, the players could now go against monsters on Earth and began attacking dungeons. Player, hunter, awakened person. words that people would usually found on fantasy novels. Many Koreans knows this fact very well. There were many debate that the player should be called in a much formal way, such as the Awakened or Hunter, but the government decided to just use player because of the word La Elta, which it was no different from playing games. In fact, the main goal of the government was to encourage many people to complete the quest like a game. The more stronger players there are, the safer the world would be. However, in the case of Korea, many people took the situation too lightly and jumped into the game as if it was really a game and died. Those who are familiar with fantasy novel took quest immediately because they were the most excited. With La Elta Quest, players were able to choose the level of difficulty, but everyone chose the most difficult level, saying they would find hidden pieces like the main characters of fantasy novels and become the main characters of the world. Most of them died without breaking a single quest. Well, since there are a lot of players who survived, Korea now possess some of the strongest players around the world. I've been scrolling around the internet for the past few years, so I memorized this basic information. My current job is to surf the internet and watch TV. Are you curious about what kind of job let me watch TV and browse the internet? It's called being an unemployed. Asterisk, 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 I am the second son of a very ordinary family in Korea. It was not a family full of unfortunate stories or suffering from poverty. I am just a very ordinary person in a very ordinary family and not a child of a wealthy one. As soon as I became 20 years old, I found it hard to continue studying, so instead of going to college, I immediately faced society to earn money. I chose to do a part-time job because I didn't attend college, and back then there were no companies that welcomed people who didn't have a single line of education in their resumes. Also, I wanted to save money before joining the army anyway. If I have a part-time job, I can add something to my resume after I'm discharged. That's what I thought, rather than cafe, PC room, restaurant, etc. The reason why I chose to work in a convenience store at night, among the various part-time jobs, was simple. The first reason is that the hourly wage was good. However, the real reason was that they rejected me even though they were searching for part-timers. So it's not really a big salary, but I got no choice. This is the only place that accepted me. Where am I supposed to start my career if I'm rejected everywhere? Shortly after the evening shift, many office workers came to the convenience store even though it was late night. An office worker with dark circles went down with his chin while paying. An office worker, who was in a call, bought a pack of cigarettes saying he's going to leave work soon because he took an overtime again today. Another office worker bought a hangover drink after a company dinner. Since this was a convenience store surrounded by all kinds of small and medium-sized companies nearby, I could see office workers suffering from overtime work and having get-togethers every day. Still, I envy them. It's good to work overtime. Working as an office worker was better than working in a convenience store at night. I sighed thinking about how I came to my current situation. I just finished eating my dinner. I threw the cup noodles towards the trash, but the soup spilled right in front of the trash can. I can't even afford to give myself a proper meal that cost 5,000 won, $5. I would only eat something that cost around 1,000 won, $1. This was the real difference between an ordinary office worker and a part-timer. Office workers, who were being overpowered in their company, overpowers the ordinary people. When I came back in the convenience store after eating, the customers were angry, saying they wasted time waiting for me to come back. What crappy life. At first, when I just started my part-time job, I was happy that I finally had some income. If I save up my money now, I would be able to invest it for the future. While doing this part-time job, I would always ponder over sleeping right away or spend some of my time studying. Shall I also learn English or Chinese? If I work 10 hours a day and sleep for 6 hours, I can spend 5 or 6 hours for future employment, except for washing and eating. But even if I started planning right now, I know that I wouldn't be able to do it as I really hate studying. However, I couldn't prevent myself from laying down on my bed and sleep. I fell asleep, saying to myself that it was okay to rest. When I wake up, I would just play computer games, saying, I worked hard, so I will reward myself. Then it was time to go to work again. Even though I know that every time I spend the day like this, it was just a continuous cycle with no visible progress. I was stressed out because of this fact, but I just laid down and played phone games to relieve my stress. Oh, what a crappy life. While lamenting and cursing about my life, It was clear that I would rather spend with my cell phone or laptop mouse instead of washing up myself and study. Am I the cause of this lethargic life, or was it the world? Thinking about this and that, the part-time job ended, and the day ended again. Chapter 2, Sunghan. Mom, Sunghan, Mom. I've been in a coma for about 3 years. My mother held me for the first time in 3 years and cried, while me, the son, who just met her for the first time in 50 years, did not cry. Anyway, I shouldn't let out any cry. I'm no longer the strong sword master who lived like that for 50-plus years. But now, I'm just an ordinary man that got in coma at the age of 20 and woke up to be a normal young man who just turned 23. I may be at the sensitive age and old enough to be led by my emotions, but I didn't cry anyway. Was it a dream? I calculated my physical condition by clenching my fists. I don't think it was a dream. It doesn't matter if it's a dream or not. I've regained my family and returned to my hometown after 50 years, and that's the most important thing. I will start working hard this time and take advantage of this rare opportunity. Really, unfortunately, my commitment did not last for a week. When I returned to my normal life, I remembered how good it was to waste time living a normal life. My mother's expression, who was always patting me on my back when I woke up, changed a few months later when I started spending my time reading comic books while scratching my stomach and lying on the sofa. At first, I was told not to go out and avoid working, so I was just watching TV, meet my friends, and go out for a walk. But after living my life like this, I got accustomed to it. The hand that used to comfort my back has now become more violent day by day, and now my back long been transformed into a sandbag since the second year of my unemployed life. TL. Sandbag, but change bag to back. To be honest, I proudly say that my brother Lee Sung-hyun is responsible for this. Usually in fantasy novels, when the main character was in an accident and goes back to their own world, isn't their family usually in debt? They would usually have their house and their car sold, and also owed money to save the main character in coma. So when I opened my eyes and got to know what was going on, I was a bit worried about what would my family situation. The hospital bill for a patient in coma, who was in the hospital every day, would be very expensive, especially when 3 years had passed. This was my main concern as soon as I woke up. Our house wasn't very bad, but it wasn't very good either. Like the main characters of other fantasy novels, I decided to quickly dispose of our debts and move my family to a good house. I wanted to do my best and help my whole family live a comfortable life. I thought that maybe I should go into the private loan sharks' hideouts and destroy them all. But in my case, I may have read too many novels. The home that I returned to after being discharged made me speechless. Hey, aren't you going to our house? Where are we? This is our house. What? What are you talking about? We moved to a rich man house. Is this our car too? This is my car, actually. Hey, what about our debt? I thought we would be living on the street. Did you have any weird dreams? As far as I remember, our house was a small apartment. Suddenly, our house is now a detached house right in the middle of Seoul with a wealthy family vibe. How can I believe that out of the blue? The room they took me in, saying was my room, was the size of the living room of our original house. I wish this was really my room. Oh, maybe I'm still in a coma, and this is just another dream. Lying on the bed with a smile, I close my eyes. If this was still a dream, I like to spend more time with my family. Back when I lived as a swordman, I realized that the longer the time I spent alone, the more emptiness I'd feel. I was happy to see my family, even in my dream. Let's wake up quickly. I'm going to wake up and take my frustrations out towards the monsters. It wasn't a dream. My brother sat down in front of me and started explaining the changes the world faced while I was asleep. About half a year before I woke up, the world started to change. So players can travel on portals to places called La Elta. La Elta? Do you know La Elta? How do they know La Elta? La Elta was the name of the world I lived in for 50 years. Of course I know. I'm a player too. When all players first arrived, they all appeared at La Elta's Veraford town. Veraford? That's where I was? My house is there too. My older brother patted my head with a very pitiful expression. His expression seemed to say, "Yes, you've really hurt your head," so I closed my mouth. I don't know what's going on, but let's hear him out first. I may look like this, but I am actually a pretty good player. Really? My brother looked so weak. There's no law in place that maintained players and monsters, but over the time, the authority of the players will start to get power, so we will be able to live better. What? Am I finally be able to become rich and unemployed? Don't worry about it from now on. Just live comfortably. A rich, unemployed man. The life of a rich, unemployed man is now in front of me. Of course, when I was in La Elta, I could have enjoyed my unemployed life if I wanted to, but there was a huge difference between my unemployed life in the fantasy world near my Middle Ages and my unemployed life in Korea, where the internet is full of fun and entertainment. I shouted hooray. My brother just smiled and stroked my head, without knowing what I was thinking inside. So I've been in a coma for 3 years. I enjoyed another 3 years of unemployed life. In other words, 6 years have passed since I became an adult, but I still didn't have a single line in my resume. Translator's note. So the story is about a younger brother being spoiled by his older brother. I also want to have a relationship like that. At first, I thought about becoming a player, but it didn't work out as I planned. Shortly after waking up at coma, I checked myself in the Players Awakening Center and headed to the town office to get my ID. I was looking forward to see the building of Player Awakening Center. It is said that within this building, people can check whether they are a player or not. They're also the only place that issues identification cards for the players to use when they go in La Elta. I'm a man who has lived there for 50 years. Who else could be called a player other than me? Of course, I ran excitedly thinking that I would be able to enjoy a blessed life, pretending to be a generous player after receiving the result of being a top-rated player. Translator. The word used was not generous, but something related to being unemployed, but still receiving salary. Lee Sung-han is an ordinary person. The staff at the district office in charge of the prosecution said with a forced smile. What? That can't be true. Oh, I guess. I have too much mana to be measured with Earth's instruments. Well, I guess I'm SSS class. A look of disbelief appeared on the staff. Although she was smiling, the staff quickly began to explain about the instrument. The device does not measure the amount of mana, but rather activates a person's status window. Of course, you can't see the details such as skills, but you can check the level or basic skills. The fact that Lee Sung-han's information didn't come up means that the status window is not activated. Are you able to activate a status window? A status window? How do you activate a status window? You can say status window, thinking that you want to open a status window. Status window. Status window. Status window. And nothing happened. Having the staff lose interest in him, he was chased away from the office. Goodbye. I left the office with an ID card for ordinary people. I can't believe I'm a normal person. I can't believe I'm a normal person. Does that mean that I would enjoy a real unemployed life where I spend all my money and enjoy my life without fulfilling duties or responsibilities? Once again, I shouted hooray.